We are here at the biohacking conference by Dave Asprey, and we are here at the booth of STEMREGEN, and here is Christian Drapeau. He is the founder of STEMREGEN, and maybe Christian, you can tell something about your background, how you went into the stem cells, and why you founded this company.
So I'm by training a neuroscientist. So I did neurophysiology. I was at the Montreal Neurological Institute doing research essentially on memory and epilepsy. And I was hired in 1995 as a young scientist by a company at the time that was selling blue-green algae from Klamath Lake. You may have heard of the product. Yeah. It's a blue-green algae that grows naturally in Klamath Lake. My job was to document the mechanisms of action, active compounds, like how it worked in the body. Right after the passage of the Dietary Supplement Health Education Act, forcing companies, rightly so, to have science to back up their claim. So very soon after I started to work with this plant, we quickly identified the main mechanisms of action. But I came across people reversing severe like heart disease, diabetes, liver failure, emphysema, COPD, Parkinson, Alzheimer's. Like the mystery was, what is this plant doing that is touching so many different aspects of human health? So I did a number of studies over the next probably 4 or 5 years, finding good data, but nothing that really gave a real explanation until the early days of stem cell research. What I knew of stem cells was the same thing that any med student knows about stem cells, actually any doctor in the world about stem cells, which is they're precursors to blood cells, but they cannot become other than blood cells. That was the dogma at the time. So some data in the scientific literature led me to really believe that it looked like stem cells were actually way more capable than that, and it looks like they were the repair system of the body. So we published an article in a journal called Medical Hypotheses, suggesting stem cells, it looks like they are the repair system of the body. And in the back of my mind, the question is, what if this plant, just like we have plants stimulating the immune system, what if this plant is stimulating the repair system? So we bought a flow cytometer to count stem cells, and we started on our cells. Everything culminated into a typical double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover study, and we demonstrated this plant act as a stem cell mobilizer. So that's the first, like the start of my journey with stem cells. Then we have continued studying many plants, probably like 15 to 20 plants. So the top 5 plants that triggered the release of stem cells from the bone marrow were blended according to their potency, but also their mechanism of action to get the synergistic effect of this blend. And that's what we have with STEMREGEN released. You take 2 capsules, and within 2-3 hours, you release about 10 million, on average, 10 million of your own stem cells.
You advise to take it on a daily basis.
Stem cells are the repair system of the body, but also what came out through stem cell research is that they play a role that to me is actually way more important than repair, which is renewal. Meaning, science, stem cell research has showed now with data evidence that the entire body is constantly to a process of turnover. We kind of knew this intuitively, if you want. Like we've heard the sentences where you have a new body every year, every 7 years. The reality is that you have a new skin every month, a new liver every 2-3 years. Even the heart will renew at about 1% a year. So as the body is constantly in this process of tissue turnover, that means it's like a bank account. If your income matches your expense, you're fine. But if your income does not match your expense, you start to be in deficit and one day is bankrupt. Same thing. If you don't have enough stem cells to offset cellular loss, you start to accumulate a deficit, and one day it's the disease. So a deficit of cells making insulin, it's diabetes. A deficit of cells making dopamine, it's Parkinson, and so on. So about 10 years ago, I published an article suggesting that the natural decline in the number of stem cells in circulation is the fundamental cause of disease formation. Because we're born with red marrow that makes stem cells, but quickly it transforms into fatty marrow that does not make stem cells. By age 30, we've lost 90% of our red marrow. So that natural decline is the cause of disease formation. In that paper, I said, there's a way to test if this is true. Let's go and count the number of stem cells in the bloodstream of people who have developed various kinds of age-related disease, and let's compare that with healthy people of the same age. We should find fewer stem cells. Now about like 50 studies have been published across the board. Heart disease, atherosclerosis, high blood pressure, erectile dysfunction, liver failure, kidney failure, emphysema, Parkinson, Alzheimer's, lupus, arthritis. I mean, the list keeps growing. People having these conditions have 50% or less than what you find in the blood of healthy people. So all of this to say, to your simple question and my long answer is that if you lose cells every day, you're developing those diseases little bit at a time every day. So because of that, my vision was, well, let's offset those cells every day. So I've been releasing stem cells every day for the past 30 years. So that was the concept. Now, STEMREGEN is stronger than everything that I've done in the past. If you release 10 million with 2 capsules, you do this every day for a month, it's 300 million of your own stem cells that you've released, in a month. So maybe there's a place to say, at 40 years old, maybe you do this twice a year for a month. At 50 years old, maybe you do this like every change of season, every other month. And there's a point where you should start to do this every day. Yeah. If you can afford it, I would say do this every day.
And you say the daily doses is 2 capsules per day. But I can imagine if you increase the dosage, is it then more effective for special circumstances?
All of our clinical trials, so we have 1 clinical trials right now on stable congestive heart failure. We published preliminary data 2 weeks ago. So on the first 10 patients, chronic stable congestive heart failure, after 6 months, the 10 individuals have normal heart function. We have another one ongoing on Parkinson, not to show the product is for heart disease or Parkinson, it's just to show the moment you put more stem cells in circulation, your body is designed to utilize them for repair. In that study, we do 2 capsules 3 times a day. Okay. You could do more, but I'm thinking on a long-term basis, it's plenty. So that's what we do in our study, just maintenance, 2 capsules a day.
Perfect. Thank you. And of course, the product is available on LiveHelfi.com. We are very happy that we are the first one to launch it in Europe.
Absolutely.
And and look forward to new releases in the future.
Thank you so much.